Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. This week we read Parashah Korach, and Korach was actually let's call it the first cousin of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen. He was the son of one of the brothers of Amram, Moshe and Aaron's father. And in this portion, there's this horrible revolution that happens in the camp of the Jewish people, where Korah makes a rebellion. He takes 250 men, some from the tribe of Reuben, and he convinces them to go against Moshe and against Aaron. And what was his whole revolution was that he felt that he also had the merit, and he also had the capacity to be the Kohen Gadol. So he couldn't understand why Aaron was appointed to be the Kohen Gadol. He had many different explanations, and eventually God is not happy with him. He's not happy with these trouble rousers, and he opens a hole in the ground, and they're swallowed up, and Korah and his whole congregation are swallowed by the earth, and they all die, except his sons that repented in the going down. So what's the thing with this rebellion? And also we see that right after the rebellion, Moshe puts the staffs of each of the leaders of the tribes inside of the tabernacle next to the ark overnight, and the next day the staff of Aaron HaKohen blossoms with ripe almonds and flowers and buds and everything. So this is a miracle that happened. And why did Hashem take Aaron's staff, and from one night to the morning, suddenly the staff is blooming and beautiful and full of ripe almonds, when the staff was actually a cane? It was like a piece of wood from a tree that had no life whatsoever. And there's different commentaries to explain why Hashem used this specific miracle to give the Jewish people the security that Aaron HaKohen was actually appointed by God himself. So let's investigate a little bit with the different commentaries from different sages and what they have to say about this miracle that happened. Also, we have to know that Hashem works in the world in different ways. There's miracles that are natural miracles, that they're part of the nature of the world, and they nevertheless are miraculous. That the sun rises every morning on the east side and sets on the west side is a miracle in itself, but it is part of the makeup of the sun, and so we wouldn't see it as a miracle. But here in the case of Aaron's staff, it's even more miraculous, because the staff actually was not alive. So to bring almonds and buds and blossoms from a dead piece of wood, it in itself, it was miraculous. So we have to know that the word for almond in Hebrew is shaket, and in plural is shkedim. And let's see what Rashi has to say about this. He explains that the almonds are the fastest growing fruit. The almond tree is the tree that blossoms the fastest and gives us the fruit in a very fast way. And this signifies the speed of the divine retribution. The meaning of this staff blossoming and bringing fruit had a secondary meaning, and one of the meanings Rashi says is that Hashem is very fast to bring divine retribution when people are making, let's say, like machlokets between people, when people are going against Hashem's will, and they put the other person into trouble, and Hashem is very, very fast to bring retribution. And so anyone who challenged the priesthood, specifically Aaron HaKohen and his sons and his descendants, and in this case it was Korach and his minions, they would be punished very quickly. Rashi notes that the case also in the Tanakh of King Uzziah, who he illegally took control of the Kohen Gadol's place. He appointed himself as a Kohen Gadol. He got leprosy. So we see that Hashem is very, very fast, very swift into judging people that go against his decrees. When he appoints a king, when he appoints a high priest, when he appoints a leader of the generation, and people go and they rouse against them, he's very fast to bring retribution. Then we have Rabbeinu Bahye, and Rabbeinu Bahye, he adds that all almonds also, when they are not ripe, they become bitter. And also this represents the divine judgment, which is bitter. Then we have the Ibn Ezra, and he focuses on the word shaket meaning almond, that it also means watchful, alacrity, it means fast, being someone that is alert and fast. In this case, he talks about watchful, and as it says in Jeremiah, I am watchful to fulfill my word. And the almond of Aaron's staff represents that God is always looking after him and upholding his choice of the Kohen. Then we have his Kuni, who he was a commentator of the medieval times. His name was Hezekiah ben Manoah. He was actually a French rabbi, and he gives meaning to this distinct language of the Torah. When he describes this stage of the miracle, there's three stages in which an almond tree would give the fruit. So the first stage is Vayotzeh Perach, which means that it gave forth blossom. Then you have the stage of sprouted buds, Vayatzeh Tzitz, and then you have Vayigmol Shekedim, which is that it produces ripe almonds. So let's see, the one that it says it gives forth a blossom uses the root yatsa, which means to go out. And this suggests the emergence of something new, something that comes out that we're not expecting. And this hints at the giving of the kehuna to the priest, and it hints to the young priest, to the young Kohen, which are not the Kohen Gadol. There's only one Kohen Gadol, the high priest, but there's a caste of Kohanim that usually come from the sons of Aaron. And what it means is that one day they will emerge. One day they will also be instituted and bring the sacred service of the Kohen Gadol. Then this third stage of the blossoming of the staff of Aaron, it's called Vayetzeh Tzitz, sprouted buds, and it uses the rare verb tzitz. And this is the second stage, which shares the root with the tzitz. The tzitz was this like a bandana that the Kohen Gadol used to use in his forehead. It was made out of gold, and it symbolizes one of the priestly garments, which brings a dignity and honor to Hashem. So the third one is Vayigmol Shekdim, which produces ripe almonds. And this term Gamal, Vayigmol Gamal, to ripen or complete, it's alluding to the maturity of maturity and diligence. And the ripe almonds represent the Kohanim, which are people who are always dedicated to God, and they're always doing their job in a mature way and a diligent way. They take it very seriously. If you look at the Kohen, the people that are Kohen today, that they're part of this tribe, you're going to see, my husband is a Kohen, they have a very distinct personality. They're people who love peace, they pursue peace, they're trying to make peace between friends, between husband and wife, but at the same time, they're very strict. They're very A-type personality. They need to get things done. They're very serious people. So the Abarbanel, he adds that the almonds symbolize the eternal nature of the priesthood, and this is very, very important. Because the rest of Israel, if you look at it, for example, the leadership of Israel, that it was Moshe. Moshe was the leader of Israel. After him, it was not his son. It was not something that came from his DNA. It came from Hashem appointing leaders, and the previous leader would appoint the next leader. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader of Israel. He came from the tribe of Levi, and after him came Yehoshua, who comes from the tribe of Ephraim, and eventually the king of Israel will come from the tribe of Yehuda. And from then on, it's the tribe of Yehuda. King David was from the tribe of Yehuda. From then on comes from the tribe of Yehuda. But the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and the priests and the Kohanim, which till today we have the Kohanim, you don't buy this job. You don't pay for it. There's a famous joke of a man that came into the synagogue and told the rabbi that he wanted to be a Kohen. And the rabbi said, it's impossible. You cannot be a Kohen if you're not a Kohen. He says, no, I'm willing to give you a big donation. I want to buy my place as a Kohen. So the rabbi, he was lacking funds in the synagogue, so he got the donation. And the next time he saw the man, he says, tell me something. Why are you willing to pay so much to be a Kohen? And he says, oh, because my father was a Kohen, my great-grandfather was a Kohen, my grandfather was a Kohen. So the rabbi said, yeah, because a Kohen is if your father is not a Kohen, you're never going to be a Kohen. It's a joke. It's a cute joke. But actually, a person cannot become a Kohen. He comes from his father, from his grandfather, from his great-grandfather. All the way back you can trace to Aaron HaKohen. And it's even more that today they can do a DNA test, and the Kohanim, they have a special gene that only Kohanim have. So what the Abarbanel adds here is that the priesthood is like the almond, because they ripen and remain fresh longer than any other fruit. If you buy almonds, you're gonna see, you can eat them a year later, they're fine. But the other fruit, they ripen and eventually they rot. So what he's saying is that he's validating the exclusive appointment of Aaron as the high priest, and it will be, after him will be his descendants, and it will be something that is perpetual, that is eternal. It's never gonna disappear. And so similarly to Abarbanel, there's another commentaries that they're called the Tosophists. They were Talmudic scholars that came from France and Germany, and they're also 12th and 13th century, and they're called the Da'at Sekanim. And this notes that some of the blossoms remained even after the almonds ripened, which is an unnatural phenomenon. And this is symbolizing that Aaron's staff, and by extension, his priesthood, would never, never, never wither, that it would never die. And this is interesting because that's why Hashem used the staff, the staff of Aaron, which was a piece of wood that was detached from a tree that had no life of its own. That's where he exactly made this miracle. It was to give us all these ideas, knowledge, understanding of what a Kohen is. And then the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, the first Lubavitch Rebbe, he adds to this observation that was made by Rashi and Abarbanel, that the almonds ripen more rapidly than other fruits, and he connects this attribute to speed to the priest's foot and Aaron. It suggests that Aaron, his name Aaron, can be interpreted, or you can change the letters. It will write Nireh, which means revealed, and this implies that the Kohen have the ability to bring blessings into the world. They have the ability to bring down light directly from heaven and bring it down to the world. That's why in the high holidays, in certain moments that are special, the Kohanim go up in shul and they bless the people, and it's a serious blessing because they do it with love, and the Kohen has that ability to draw down something that is waiting to be materialized, and they bring it down to the world, and they're able to bring it to the physical realm. In Israel, I think they do it every day. The Birkat Kohanim and the Sephardic people do it every day in shul. For Ashkenaz, it's more during the high holidays, and Hasidic also, they don't do it every day. But nevertheless, whenever you're in the synagogue and the Kohanim come up and they give the blessing, it's a very special blessing. You just receive it. So the other thing that it's added here is that the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who tonight, the 3rd of Tammuz, is gonna be his yahrzeit, 32 years since he left this world, he still keeps teaching us. And he addressed a deeper question, and the question was, why was this miracle even necessary? Like, why did God have to prove that Korach was wrong? Like, what was going on? Like, people didn't believe that God put Korah in that Aaron HaKohen as a Kohen Gadol. So he explains that the earth swallowed Korach and all these rabble rousers, and the fire consumed them, and this proved that Hashem had brought harsh punishment towards them. But even those events, those hard events, didn't convince the people that Aaron's place was really chosen by God. And so this miracle of the blossoming staff answered that question, because it revealed that Aaron HaKohen, there were the 12 staffs, one of each tribe, was the only one that bloomed, had a very unique place amongst the Jewish people, that his role was a very, very unique role. And we see that first, a dry, dead staff has no potential of life or fruit, and it suddenly blossoms and brings out the fruit, everything in one night. This was the proving point that Aaron's appointment was not a result of Moshe giving a job to his brother. You know, it wasn't a favoritism or political maneuvering, but it was a direct decree from God. That man whom I shall choose, which is the phrase that is used in this Torah portion. And the second thing is that the miracle didn't happen all at once. The staff followed a natural progress of first the flower, then the bud, then the fruit, as the tree would do. And this demonstrates that God, his choice was not just a miraculous imposition, but something that became eternal and lasting. That the staff behaved like a living tree, so did the priesthood become something woven into the essence of Aaron and all his descendants for eternity. And we see here that there's different ways in which Hashem makes miracles in the world. He makes miracles through a natural order, through the world, through the natural order, that sometimes we don't even see them as miracles. But the fact that you can speak or you can chew your food and swallow it and not get stuck and digest and all these things, it's in itself miraculous. And then you have these supra-rational miracles that happen in the world that defy the logic of the world, which this is not the way in which Hashem chose to show that he had chosen Moshe as a leader and Aaron as the high priest. So to finish off, Korach, his whole argument was that the whole Jewish people was a nation of priests, and that the priesthood of Israel should be just like appointing a president of a country. It should have been democratic, that people had that people could have chosen who his priest would be. But here we see that this is not what Hashem desires. This is not what he intended. But nevertheless, Korach, and that's why this Torah portion has his name, it's not called Aaron, it's not called the blossoming staff, it's called Korach. It's given a name of a person that nobody should name their kid like that. It doesn't have a good connotation, but in a certain sense, this Korach, he had something in him that he felt like it's not fair. I would have loved to be the priest. I would have loved to also serve as a Kohen Gadol. And yes, many of us would love to be somebody, but it happens to be that Hashem didn't make us to be that somebody. Hashem made us, to be unique. Just as Aaron HaKohen had a unique role in the world, the same way every Jew, every person that exists in this world has a unique role to fulfill. And although he was chosen by Hashem to give him the Keruna and then his sons and his grandsons and so on, all Jews are mandated to behave like Kohen, like the Kohen Gadol. We're all mandated to follow in his footsteps. The Pirkei Avot says, be like the disciples of Aaron HaKohen, to love peace and pursue peace and to love people and bring people close to the Torah. And that's what we should be doing, every one of us. And I hope that Hashem should bless all of us to always want to live in the presence of holiness and act in a holy way. And just as the examples that our tzaddikim have given us, we learn from the Rebbe, we learn from the Alter Rebbe, we learn from Moshe, we learn from Aaron, we learn from so many, the Rambam and Rashi. We had so many good role models in our life, we have in our lifetime, that we are commanded to live up to like how they behaved. So we have to follow their examples. This is our job. And by living a life in which we're touching holiness, holiness will come and touch us. And I hope that Hashem will redeem us all very soon when we're able to follow in these footsteps and we are not creating machlokets, this divisiveness between ourselves, fighting amongst ourselves, that because Hashem, what he most desires from the Jewish people is that we live as one, that we respect each other, we give dignity to each other, and whoever needs to be inspired, and you're a person that can inspire, go and inspire, and if you need to be inspired, go and get inspired, and this is what's important. So I want to wish you a beautiful, blessed week. We are entering the month of Tammuz. It should be a blessed month, and remember, live a little higher. Thank you.